Ladies and gentlemen, in this video I'm going to be breaking down the Canelo versus Berlanga fight. Now this was another masterclass from Canelo. However, this fight showed that Canelo is declining. And so without further ado, let's break down and analyze this fight. Canelo pressuring his opponent, it's got him on the ropes, nice jab. Boom, boom. Very nice combination. The reason why Canelo threw the jab first was so that he can measure his distance for the next combination. That's why the jab is so important in boxing, because he throws that jab. See that? He only flicks that jab, so it doesn't do much damage, but that's not the purpose of the jab. The purpose of this jab is to measure the distance from here to there, so that when he throws his next combination, which we're about to see, he knows the distance between Canelo and his opponent. And because his opponent is on the ropes, it means his opponent can't move any further back. His opponent is stuck here. Obviously he can go side to side, but right now he's not moving, he's stuck, which is why when you're on the ropes, unless you know what you're doing, you want to get out of there. You want to move either side, get out of those ropes and get into the center where you're not cornered by your opponent. Now he knows the range. He throws a hook, cross combination, catches his opponent, manages to get out in time. Very intelligent moves from Canelo. Even though I've said that Canelo is declining, his IQ is still there. If anything, it's getting better and better as he fights more. Canelo's throwing more jabs in this fight, I've noticed, compared to his last fight against Munguia, and before that as well. He didn't really throw many jabs, but you notice Canelo now mostly uses a high guard. He's normally in that stance, and he very rarely uses his head movement to get out of the way of punches. The reason being, he's aging. Time is the #1 thing that beats all fighters. And this change in style from Canelo is smart, because now he's not relying on head movement. He's using that high guard to protect himself. And if you see in his last few fights, he has been using just his arms to block all the punches or parry the punches. He doesn't really use head movement unless there's a very obvious shot coming that he can slip. But you see, he gets the last thing that goes when you age is power. And well, he's not even that old, so the power is still there and the speed is still there. Just watch this again. That body hook was nasty. That hook to the head was nasty. I actually thought it was a body hook at first. That's how fast it was. I couldn't tell where it hit, but if you slow it down here, you can see the twist of the head. It hit Berlanga in the head, and wow, what a hook. That's one of Canelo's most impressive knockdowns in a while. I think Berlanga thought that the punch was going to the body, which is why he brought his hands down. That's why. Berlanga went to parry Canelo's punch. Canelo was throwing a lot of jabs, as you saw earlier on. He was pumping that jab out, getting Berlanga used to the rhythm, used to the jabs, until he switches it up. He tricks his opponent. Now Berlanga tries to parry his jab, and as he brings his arm down, he pays the price for his mistake. And that's what I say almost every video. When you parry, tap. You don't want to bring it down fire, otherwise that will happen. You'll get tricked by your opponent. You'll bring your arm too far down. Boom, you're knocked out, or knocked down in this case. So when you parry, you only need to tap it, because all you need is a light tap. A light tap will take all the power from that shot. Lovely uppercut from Canelo. Canelo's uppercuts are top tier. His uppercuts and hooks are top tier. And you see his opponent Berlanga actually brings his lead arm down a bit when he slips. And it seems like he's trying to imitate a Philly shell guard. The problem with this is that his shoulder is not side on to his opponent. His shoulder being here means that his head is open. I'll show you on here just to further emphasize the point. His shoulder is here. This whole bit here, obviously Canelo's head is covering, but you can gather this whole part of his head here open to being hit, which it does get hit by Canelo. Now what Berlanga should have done is he should have had his shoulder side on like this, because if we go back with the Philly shell style, your shoulder is so important as part of your guard. I can't show it all, but you have the Philly shell like this. You have your forearm here covering your stomach. You have your arm here covering your side, and you have your shoulder here to protect any shots coming to your face. The shoulder is meant to cover this side of the face. You have your rear arm to either parry or normally cover this side of the face. You also cover this side of your body here. Now what Berlanga is doing is his shoulder is here. So his shoulder is not doing its proper job, and that's why he gets countered. It shows how important positioning is, because you can just get caught by a slight error of having your shoulders wider compared to being narrow. It's only a few inches difference, but a few inches is very important. Not that I would know. But you see, he's a lot more tentative compared to when he was younger. When he was younger, once he'd knocked down his opponent, he would go for them. When he was in his early stages, he would recklessly go for them, and that was an issue. It would lead to him getting countered. It would lead to him using all his energy up. Obviously, a lot of the time he would win. But as he got older into his prime, after he fought Floyd Mayweather, he became a lot more intelligent with how aggressive he would be after he knocked someone down. After he knocked someone down, he would put pressure, but he wouldn't be reckless. He'd have that good balance. But you see, Canelo's reaction speed is not as fast as it used to be. Berlanga's catching him quite a bit. And then you see that Canelo gets hit and then tries to parry. You can see his reaction speed isn't there. Lovely combination though. Canelo mixing up the punches. I talked about this in my last video, the Naoya Inoue versus TJ Doheny fight. And in that video, one of the things I really admired about Inoue was how he would mix his punches up, throwing to the head, to the body, everywhere. Mixing it up, which confuses his opponent, makes it harder for him to be predicted. And it means it's easier for him to actually land the punches and not have them blocked or slipped, because they're harder to predict. Now what Canelo does, he throws a double jab to the head, uppercut to the head, doesn't hit, but then he comes back with the hook to the body. Very nice shot. And even though Berlanga is catching Canelo, Canelo comes back. He doesn't let Berlanga have that weight. win. He comes back with his own counter, with his own combinations to punish Berlanga. I'm not saying Canelo has declined, don't get me wrong. Canelo is an amazing fighter. We saw that with the knockdown. That punch was incredible. But you can see he's declining. Compare him to 2 years ago. You can see, yes, 2 years ago he was still a bit past his prime, slowing down. But you could tell then he had a lot better reactions than he does now. And it seems that all the training, all the fights, all the punishment he's taken is slowly catching up to him. Because he is only 34. Like, yeah, he's past his prime, but he's not that past his prime. I mean, Floyd Mayweather's still going at 40. Sorry, not 40. Floyd Mayweather's like 50 something. But he was still professionally fighting 40 and above. Yes, his style is more catered to working at an older age. However, his reaction speed was still really fast in his 40s. And even now, he's still got very fast reaction speed. Of course, it's slowed down a bit, but I feel like Canelo's reaction speed has really slowed down the past couple of years. Oh, good combination from Berlanga. And you can see Canelo's very tired. And that's another thing about his decline. And you'll notice this with a lot of his fights. He will knock his opponent down within the first few rounds. But after that, he'll cruise to a victory. Now, I'm not saying he'll cruise as in like he's not trying. However, I feel like he doesn't have the gas tank he used to. He's not able to put the pressure on like he used to. So it just ends up where it goes to a decision because he doesn't have the energy to finish his opponent off. One thing I do need to mention though is Berlanga is a heavier guy. I think he came into this fight a decent bit heavier than Canelo. I'll put it up here for reference compared to Canelo's weight. Now, I can't remember how big the difference is. The bigger the difference, then the more reason we have to believe it was a weight. However, you can still tell that Canelo has slowed down a lot more in terms of his endurance. You can see in these later rounds, he's struggling a lot more compared to when he was in his prime. Now, of course, that's expected, but I feel like Canelo's declining at a faster rate than most at that age. I don't know if it's just me, or at least compared to his prime self. Canelo, compared to his prime self, has declined a lot more compared to a lot of other fighters will decline at this age compared to their prime selves, if that makes sense. Now, this was an amazing fight nonetheless from Canelo. A great performance from him. The opponent's decent. He's not to the caliber I believe a lot of people wanted. Munguia, Canelo's last opponent, was very good. That was an amazing fight. If you've noticed, Canelo has started fighting a lot more lately, and I think that's because he's planning to retire, and I think he wants to get a few more fights in before he retires, make that bread, and then dip. Anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.